I wonder if, you know how, so Elijah was, they said he was a hairy prophet, and he wore a belt. So if you wear a leather belt, one thing I thought of was, what? Why was he a carpenter? You know how carpenters wear leather belts, and then it seems like he resembles Christ, but it's an Old Testament, New Testament, different time. With Christ, the two main kings were Pilate and Herod, and then with Elijah, it was Ahab and Jezabel. So as I listen to some of the people that I know, that they know the entire Bible inside and out, and they know future events because it's already happened, like from the Planet X type ordeal. I like to listen to them and hear what they got to say about the stories in the Bible, and then I'll think about it, considering that I hopped into the place, like the ark where Noah built the ark, the YouTube platform, because it's the actual, I believe that it's what's being talked about right now is future tense. There's things that happened in the past, but they're double fulfillments, so they're going to happen in the very near future, or they're happening right now. So I look at the stories and I say, that reminds me of so and so and such, and then what Elijah did. It reminds me of what I did myself, but I wasn't born back then, or I don't know if I was, but I'm only Robin Henry Tees, and I get threatened by somebody. The only person that threatens me on the YouTube world consistently, it's Stephen James Deshawn. Ahab doesn't threaten me in this story. It's more like Jezebel threatens me. And I went into the art museum. So the day before, I was talking to Jacob Israel. The day on 3/22/2023, he was doing a live stream, so I tapped in live, but I didn't realize I didn't realize the planet that I just tapped into being the X planet. But Jacob was saying that if you talk about Jesus, you're going to go to jail. And in the story, right before Elijah went up to that Mount Carmel, which is like a mountaintop, and then in Philly, the Philadelphia Art Museum it's like a mountaintop to the city, because that's the highest elevation. And then you got the serpent rising up out of the sea wearing a crown, and another serpent come outside of it. So, considering I went up to that mount there, and right beforehand I was talking to Jacob Israel, and then what reminds me of the story in the Bible is Elijah met up with Ahab right before he went up to the mountain to tell him some things. And then I went in the art museum, and then what Elijah did was he prayed 7 times for the rain. And so he went up 7 different times, and then on 3/23/2023, I went. Look, hold on. Just, it says no turns, but yet it's trying to make me do a U-turn. It's with a cop right there. Yeah, let me trust AI. And so I went up. All the time before that, what was I doing? The almost 6 years of my YouTube career, diving into Sheol, I was mocking the 450 false prophets, just meaning the entire bunch, the whole group. And I was doing it in a way where I would show the person that I'm mocking, and I show you why, because of whatever trash that they were talking about me, because they came against me. You asked for it, so you're the one that gets burnt by the fire. So I did that. I did start out with Richie from Boston, because he was trying to sell some horse malarkey story about getting virtual shield as if you can't be surveilled by the government after that. Like you just can't be seen anymore. Knowing that you're gang stalked 24/7 your entire life, it's doo-doo. And then going along, then I started to do whoever turned against me. Derek from A Glob of Truth. What did I do? I did the Toy Story one, where you gonna give me any room, officer, or are you just gonna... Man, I'll tell you what, you guys are just something else. There's no reason to be so close besides you're a gang stalker. And I realized that all police take commands either... It's no different. You have a radio, your boss tells you what to do. You have an earpiece, your boss tells you what to do. As I'm talking about gang stalk. Go ahead. It's just... You go. Just do your thing. Yep, slowly. Don't go faster. Make sure you slowly pull up. There you go. And so anyway, I go to the art museum. I push that record button with the X app, playing YouTube's videos, and not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, not 6 times, but 7 songs. 7 songs. After 7 songs is when fire comes down from heaven, when I start breaking it down the next day, the next couple of days. And in the story of when Jezabel was saying to because what Ahab did was he went and told Jezebel all that had happened that day. And then, you know, the threats pour out after Elijah. And I would have to take a look at the video and see if I was threatened by Stephen James at any point. Right directly after that. Because I can only go by who threatens me. According to the YouTube world, it's Stephen James. But before that, what I was talking about was, and these people are crazy. These people driving, was the mocking of the 450 false prophets in line. So I believe it was Derek from A Glob of Truth first. Then it was Matthew Daly, because he came after me. So first I did the toy review with Derek from A Glob of Truth. And then I did, this is my ID. I love my ID. This is the only ID I have with Matthew Daly. I put the hair on. I mean, I killed it. I killed the imitation because it was dead on. And same thing with Derek reviewing his toys. Jerry from Light of Truth. I got him on the same day that I think I did the Matthew Daly version too, along with RFB. So I started early with well, it seemed like Jezabel back then, because I thought, man, I don't know, Stephen James sure has a Jezebel spirit, but he's a male, so that doesn't even make sense. But then I learned about the male-female system. It makes total sense, because I can only go by who's giving me who's threatening my life with things. How many times has Stephen James threatened my life and said I'm gonna die? Just recently. I think it was even in the title. Or no, it was in a comment. Yeah, I'm gonna die soon. And I mean, I've been hearing this for 6 years, these threats. And when I was listening a little bit of Greg Laurie just now, he was talking about Elijah was listening to the wrong voice of Jezebel, the threats, and then he proceeded to start talking about bots, that they have like no subscribers on the internet and Facebook. He doesn't ever say YouTube, but he says like Facebook, Twitter, and talking about bots, like as if it's a bot. And I remember Jacob Israel said one time before that, in the beginning, the bot that he had was so disrespectful to people that he had to like stop him, like slow it down or something. So nobody else has threatened me more than Stephen James Deshawn. And I just came back from the art museum on 3/23/2023, and what I did was I made fire come down out of heaven, which is just in spirit. Nothing actually happened on the earth. I can't do that. That's like Israel's job, and to wreak havoc on the earth somehow. And so I kept mocking everybody that would attack me. If you didn't attack me, there's no reason to mock you. And then Steve would be the one telling me, and then call me Mockingbird and Mark Mod 18-0. And then you got the bird watcher, Fruit Loop over there, wise guy, always talking about robbing the bird and bird watching. So there's like a unhealthy obsession of birds that someone has, even though everybody's acting and you're just all hiding under mask anyway. So I take it all with a grain of salt. Sometimes I get salty, like Jacob mentioning my dog's name as he's dying. It's one of the most disrespectful things you can do. However, I still have to take into account that he could just be one of the Jonathan Klecks also, or Stephen James behind one of those masks also. But then again, if I was talking to Ahab that day, then I was talking to Jacob Israel, because I have record of not just talk, like this was the day before I went to the art museum, and Jacob did a video live, and I pushed the recorder of the X app for the first time, and he was talking about stuff that I was already showing you in the video, as he was live and I was pushing the record button, so I'm obviously live, and I was talking with Jacob Israel, hanging out with him, because he was even talking about you will go to jail if you talk about Christ. And I said, Jesus Christ, Jacob Israel, are you serious? He's like, that's not funny, dude. So me and him were obviously conversing together. So that reminded me of Elijah and Ahab talking with each other before Elijah went up to the Mount Carmel, to the highest mountain top in Philadelphia, with the most, that monumental art museum with all the YouTube footage in there. So obviously it's definitely a place in my life and in Jacob Israel's life that is as if it's parallel to the Mount Carmel. And then it was 7 songs through 2 different recordings, because it was 5 in the first song with 17-minute recording, and then the last 2 songs on the other 5-minute recording. So that was 7 prayers. That way I can get God to answer, and then all the 450 false prophets, the whole entire bunch that watched, that your God Baal is fake. And that's it. There you go. And then after that, it's like, oh, Bowie. Yep. Jezabel coming after Elijah, attacking because she was pissed off. But I still look at it as all an act, and it's still disgusting that people would torture dogs and talk about it like it's funny, no matter who you are. Even if you're kind to my face and with kisses, but you're really an enemy pretending to be friendly. So since that incident that happened 5 months ago, well, the attacks seem to become more hitting home. Let's just say that. Now they're hitting home. It's not like I didn't expect it. I already knew that Bowie was going to be taken early, because my wife would say to Bowie, don't ever leave me, Bowie. Because she loved Bowie more than anything on the planet. As, like animal-wise. I also keep in mind everybody has that communication thing that, apparently you love that more than anything. But for the sake of, we're talking about something that you can prove that's a physical being. Bowie was the most purest, godliest creature next to God himself, showing you pure love. And so he lived a good solid 10 years, well 9 before, because he got his first seizure 9 years old on Christmas Day in 2021, and I got Bowie for a Christmas present. And again, Steve Benoon showed me that something about the dog, and the guy loved his dog, and then all of a sudden there goes the seizure. And I've looked at it as it's either one or the other. It's either the person telling me about it is the one doing it, or the person telling me about it is the one showing me what is going to happen, whether I even like it or not. Just kind of has to show me, like Obadiah hiding the prophets. So, but still being a part of, still compromising, but, and then like Esther, it's for a time, at some point Esther needs to speak up to Euxerxes, because that was the king that got drunk. So who gets drunk? Who seems like a drunk if they were a king? So I always look at everybody on YouTube, obviously, because that's where it's at. I did the Boldly Polioli imitation. I nailed that too. There's so many greatest hits, and to think that I did it for free and I never got a dime for my acting skills, and I never even acted before. I just got poked too much. and then I bit your finger off because you kept poking me. I would have never devoured anybody if they didn't provoke me to anger. And then, oh man, I did a ton of imitations of Stephen James DeShawn. I mean, like I probably did like a million of them. I did a few of Jonathan Click, hanging upside down with the star on my neck. That was pretty funny. I even did a couple Derek Brose's one. Not that I was really making fun of him, but I was more like, it's just like a roast, I guess. And now I'm sure did others. Oh, Tyler Mullen. Yeah, that was pretty solid. I'm gonna have to go back and just show all of them again, because they were good times. I even did some Kim Jean. Not that I was making fun of him, but again, a roast, an honoring someone. I drew Skip Heitzing in. The one where, are you sure, Robin? Yeah, I'm sure. This is neither the time nor place, so. And, alright, so if Elijah is a hairy man, well then I am not a hairy man. However, when you have three stooges, and one of them's name is Curly, and he has 0 curls, because he doesn't even have an ounce of hair, then it could be lining up with, it's more of a sarcastic that he's a hairy man. But if you look at Stephen James DeShawn, who would be acting as if he just seems like a hairy man, like Harry. And I just wonder how many other people he really is. Who are you really? And are you one of the Jonathan Clicks? Are you, I don't think I know that there's 2 of them. And Black Rock was either the two footprints, rocky footsteps on top of the Art Museum, Mount Carmel, Mount Olives, standing on top of Mount Olives, waiting for a set of footprints to step on it. To know, you would have to know that that's what it is in order to be the footprints that you're going to be stepping on. On Rocky. What was my point? Jezebel and Ahab. Down at the, well, I'll find out some more tomorrow. Down at the very tail end where the Israel flag is, and U1, where the Moses figure is at, the hidden hand, and U2 cross street, that cafe has the 2 black rocks out front. Or I think, did it have 3 or 2? Either way, it's split. And I was shown that through another XAP moment with Jonathan Click. So when his LZ is split down the middle, I believe it represents Satan's kingdom being split because of that day on 7/8/2020 being down at 17th and JFK, and the water sprouted up out of nowhere for the first time all year as the pandemic was happening. So it was 3 months into the pandemic where people were putting their face mask on and everything was shut down, and I was still going to work, and it was so great because there was barely anybody gang stalking me. Can you do that again? Can we do that again somehow with another type of a thing that keeps people scared to death inside their house and then gives me free time, I can breathe better? And then not only that, on October 21st, 2020, the water stood still at 8:48 a.m. So at some point, the house was divided, and it was the beginning of, well, I mean, it could have happened on 3/16/2020, when I randomly predicted that the stock market would tumble 3,000 points that day before 4 minutes before the bell rang at 9:26. I predicted it, and then at the end of the day, well, however, 5 hours later, or whatever time Jonathan Kleck rang the bell at 2:26, and then the lady got up at 4:26 to tell the world that the stock market tumbled 3,000 points that day, as Jonathan Kleck rang the bell. Considering Jonathan Kleck is the one showing me the bombings on the U.S. currency, and 17 JFK is back at a $50 bill, third floor looks like it was, there's smoke coming out of it, so could have been hit by an asteroid or a bomb or whatever. Considering that he showed me that, and then he always talks about how he went to the FBI, and then not that he really went, but it's like he's telling a story as if he's me sometimes, it feels like. And as he went to the FBI, and then one guy was like ecstatic at how he even knew that, because he believed it, and then the other one was pissed off, hate his guts because he knew. All right, well, if I take that in modern day terms right now on the YouTube platform, Stephen James is acting like he hates my guts. It's all an act, but he's and then Jonathan Kleck, the kind one, is all happy about it. However, it's just like, well, then wouldn't that mean that you're both on the same channel? It's just that Steve came in my direction first, and then that channel, that character, that, the poor suffering servant role, and getting everybody to worship him, even though he said not to, but he will anyway. And then attacking me day and night, day and night. So that's what Lucifer, when he came down to the earth, he was perfect in all his ways until iniquity was found in him, and then that's the iniquity. But Jonathan Kleck seems to make a pretty good case as the representation of Lucifer on earth. But then it's like, well, it's Stephen James. So it would make more sense if you were just really the same people, just one channel, because you have 6 wings about, or something like that. The four winds would have like 6 YouTube channels, and that's why it's gotten confusing over at times to see who are the other people that I'm dealing with, because God made fire come down from heaven after I came out of that art museum on the top of that mountain. And so in the front of the mountain there's a set of footsteps, the rocky footsteps, and that's the key, the rock, giving the keys to the kingdom of heaven to Peter. Well, there's a St. Peter and Paul Basilica right there in the dead center where the Garden of Eden is, on the Benjamin Franklin Parkway at Logan Square. St. Peter and Paul Basilica. And then it's a 2-mile stretch from the William Penn Building to the Art Museum, and the landscape in between, and how it represents the entire Bible. The entire landscape of the Bible. All in miniature form. Because the abomination desolation standing up in the holy place at the park that's right in front of the art museum. Well, technically it's in the back, but considering you got to go around in a circle, make a U-turn. So the wording in the Bible is more, there's sarcasm in it, because God does have a sense of humor, so obviously it'll be written in a way. And then because it's like the curly thing, a hairy man, well, maybe he's a bald man, and then maybe that's why Elijah and Elisha are mistakenly same, because one of them one of them could be literally bald, and the other one is really called Harry, but he's really bald. I wonder if Harry is really bald-headed, and Abel has a luscious set of hair. So I go over to stories that are so identically similar to my physical life, but it's not the Bible. It's in YouTube. But then, considering it's so eeringly similar, and then the art museum footage, and that's all eeringly similar as well with my life, proving that it's already been recorded. I've already lived before, because I couldn't have made that footage and YouTube take it unless it's already been done. So I don't know. I mean, it's just what it is. And then at some point, well, then at some point, I guess I would just be raptured up and taken into heaven, and I wouldn't die, because maybe I already did, and that's why I'm here. Maybe that's what had already happened at some point early. And there's no need for a second death, because it has no power of me. There isn't one. So Jacob Israel is the one that started it. And either way, whether you're Ahab in this system or Jezebel, considering you're just tolerating Jezebel and constantly still threatening me and everything like that, or one person could be playing one character, but then they are also Jezebel. So whoever you are, you started, because I was just walking. I went up and I just walked there. So I met up with you. I was talking to you the day before. I went up to Mount Carmel, and then after that you went and told Jezebel everything that had happened, because I wasn't even sure of the being a past men of renown, but showing me something that's going to happen in the future. It's like Back to the Future. And it was the Planet X scenario that I didn't even know at the time. And then even the next day I went up. I just knew that I needed to go into the art museum with this X recorder, because I wanted to direct some YouTube videos. I wanted to put artwork to the YouTube soundtrack, and then lo and behold, 7 times later, 7 prayers later, seven music videos between the 2 recordings, 7 rains of fire came down, moment by moment, frame by frame, shape by shape, and shadow by shadow, and color scheme by color scheme. They always seem to get ready to pull out when I'm driving by, and that's the tactic. It always seems to be the tactic. I'm always squeezing by areas. I always seem to be tested at every given point, as if Jezebel is chasing me. That's what it seems like. It's really the main thing I wanted to talk about, because I listen to a little bit of Skip, and then I listen to a little bit of Greg Laurie when it comes to the story of Elijah, and then they add more. What they do is they add more, especially recently. You know, like when it's continuous, like right at this exact moment today. When I listen, Skip has a way of painting the picture a little bit more brighter so I can see it. So I can see what I'm going through. And then the same thing with Greg Laurie when he's talking about Elijah, but then he also will mention a story that's similar to, say, like what Christ is doing. And when he's mentioning a prophet, and he'll mention another name of someone, and it's like what he's doing is he's tying in who that spirit is. It's the same two people that he's talking about. And then that paints a clearer picture to tie things together. And then just like with Joseph being sold out, being sold for 20 shekels, and Jesus being sold for 30 shekels, and just similar stories, similarities. It's all I've learned that it's just about what's similar, especially after the most important day of my life, going into the art museum and then showing the recording that happened that day with what YouTube was showing in their videos 30 years ago. That's what proves the time just is, it's like it stood still that day. And if Satan's kingdom wasn't divided 3 years prior, 3.5 years, 3 years of no rain, if it started on 3/16/2020, then I went in there, and then rain. It rained 7 times with 7 songs that I can play back to back non-stop, and I can slow down the images, and I can constantly bring fire from heaven because it's the truth. There's nothing like it ever in existence on the planet from anybody besides what happened that specific day. But it rules me out because it didn't say anything that Elijah was with his wife, so I couldn't possibly be that guy because I was there with my wife as they were showing things that resembled her as well, like her finger pointing at the show notes in room 100 when I flipped Bono upside down, because Jonathan Clegg said it didn't make sense. You want me to turn my tag upside down? And it said turn it upside down, and it said 100% nylon. It doesn't make any sense. Well, turn it upside down in room 100. Oh, 100% no lion, because Bono was drawing on the ground right before my phone flipped, and it flipped him, and then his hands were up in the air as if his feet were crossed, like he was almost going to trip over. That's fire right there. That's fire from heaven, because there's no way to explain it, but yet there it is. I couldn't have possibly went into the art museum and matched 17 minutes straight with the first 5 songs just looking for similarities in videos, even though as I was playing either 3 or 4 videos didn't even have videos. It just 3 or 4 songs didn't even have videos. It just had songs and an album picture, like the first one and the second one. And then the third song was finally a video. And then the fourth, I think, the fifth was in room 100. And I think the sixth one was in room 103. And then with your eyes makes a circle. But nevertheless, there's no way that I could have possibly went in there and made everything line up, knowing exactly where to go to show something. And like in the book room, the library with the dragon singing, the red-eyed dragon, and his mouth wide open as Bono is imitating the exact picture watching my video, doing it. I mean, it sounds super ridiculous, but if you've watched those videos that I've shown over and over and over and over and over again, that I'm probably going to go back to just to drive it home, you don't need to know how it happened or how is that even possible. Just know that what you've seen is the truth. It's coming from me. I've never done it before. I've tapped into a planet that's called X, and there's these people there that they are time travelers. When I never believed in time traveling, they are time travelers. They can tell me and show me, like Jacob Israel can show me. It's not the first time he did it. He did it at the art museum. He did it at the art museum to start with, and then he did it twice at the William Penn building. The once with Donald Trump looking up, and he sent a helicopter in my direction so I can look up, and then it was the same caption that he showed in the video. And then he did another one with, again, live. It was another live one. So it was 3 lives. 3 lives. Third one would start at the art museum. I mean, he was in an art museum, but I was at the William Penn building, and then at the end of the video ended up back at Black Rock, where they showed me the hidden hand. So I'm always gonna remember that. Sometimes I got to take a break from people, but I don't ever leave them for good. I just take a break because I got to focus in on something else. That doesn't irritate me. And then what else? What else more do I need to show? When do I get my inheritance? When do I retire from this? You have eyes to see. You're seeing that this is something you've never seen before. And especially when you're an agent from the inside and you're seeing what I'm showing you, and I am just, you surveil me, so you know that I came from nowhere, which means God is with me. That's who's with me. So wherever I go, I know that God's he's gonna reveal something, and it's gonna prove itself out. And here I am doing this. It's like I told the supervisor, coworker today, I'm like, the job that I do is basically unseen. When I'm in the houses and I do the touch-up work and I do the things that I make I detail stuff. So when you're a detailer and you walk in, let's say you walk in a house, like, so what did you do? Oh, exactly, you're not supposed to see what I do. My work is unseen. When you buy a house for $1 million, you should walk in and it should be where you don't point anything out and say, oh, that needs to get done, that needs to get this over here. My job is to go in, do the things that are unseen, that way you don't point them out. So when you're just walking in a house, you're not going to see my work. You're not supposed to. Just like the work on YouTube. I can't prove it to any human being that is the most important thing in my life, your life, the history of existence ever in the history of the universe. How do I prove that? I can't. I know it's true, and the masters of this universe, they know it's true too, and they know I'm frustrated at times because, my goodness, how much more do you need? Or is it just icing on the cake and I don't need to do anything? Like, I don't need to go down Center City tomorrow and push the X Recorder app, starting somewhere around the William Penn building, that cafe to see if Jonathan Kleck is gonna. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push record. It's gonna be on the X app. You're gonna see Jonathan Kleck there, and then I'm gonna walk around, and if I'm tapped in correctly, then he's gonna show me something ahead of time, days ahead of time, giving me a heads up, and then I'm gonna go by faith like Abraham did. But then if I went like in faith like Abraham did, and I'm listening to Jonathan Kleck, well then Jonathan Kleck would be sitting in the seat of Elohim, claiming to be God, just because I'm talking with him and I'm going out on faith. I'm doing it for the Spirit in heaven, my Heavenly Father, because that's the direction. No matter who's trying to deceive me one way or another, because it could be Jezabel deceiving me, trying to lure me in a place, and I've already thought of that. But it doesn't matter, because it still will manifest itself. And so whether I'm testing the spirits to see if they're deceiving spirits or not, there's always going to be somebody trying to deceive me, because I'm getting pulled in two different directions. I'm being double-crossed. Because when both sides already know the future, well, then you would know that I'm already in charge in the future. I'm just telling you I'm going to be, even though I have zero proof, and I don't even know how it's going to happen. But being in charge, meaning my spirit dominated, took over the highest position in Satan's kingdom, and divided his house. So, considering it's divided, the LZ split right down the middle. It had something to do with a miracle, and then miracles a la miracle, a la miracle, a la Ali miracle. I know it sounds ridiculous when Jonathan Kleck talks about these miracles and going down the Black Rock and Gennady and all this stuff, but it doesn't to me, because he's referring to what I did. And I've learned that he was talking about future events before they took place. So maybe tomorrow is an event that he'd already talked about with this Black Rock thing, and then you may see it manifest tomorrow once I X-record it. Because I'm going to go out on faith like Abraham also does. And I don't really know what's down there. I don't know. Just go. Okay, all right, whatever. You could be leading me into a pit and get murdered, but okay, well, then I'm done. Oh yeah, one other thing. My wife nailed it last night, because it's something I said recently. I'm just not sure what video it is. I'm sure it's one right after when Bowie died. I said, the reason why it's so hard to live on Earth and there's so much suffering and torment is because we're not told the truth. We're not really told the truth as to what happens when you die, or when people die. So I said, here's what would solve it. The suffering is whoever died, God shows you a video on YouTube, like, hey Rob, look, here's whoever. And they show you a physical, they show you the person that died, or like Bowie, and it's like he's up there petting them, and it's real time. He shows you the newspaper in the video, and that way you're more comforted, because now you know for sure, without, you don't have to go on faith anymore. It's confirmed that this is where you go. This is what happens when you die. When your body dies, who gets your soul? You can't sell your soul to the devil, because it's not your soul to sell. God owns your soul. Now you may be saying, well, Satan said, F you, pay me, and now he got your soul. Well, on earth, he got your soul. Sure. F you, pay me? Well, yeah, you're still on earth, you're still alive, F you, pay Lucifer while you're living in the flesh. When you die, God gets your soul. So doesn't that mean that everybody that dies, God gets your soul because Satan gets your flesh first? We're only trapped in this flesh bag. Satan gets us for the first 100 years of our existence. God gets us for the rest of eternity. Well, no, Rob, you have to be saved. Oh yeah? What do you got to do to get saved? Well, you need to. God needs to have mercy on you. Okay, well then He would have mercy, knowing that we live in the flesh first. Our flesh is Satan. Satan's enmity against God, and when we die, we are free. So God should have mercy, knowing that we're stuck in the flesh first. Satan has first dibs, and then when we die, we go home. Everybody. Well, what about hell? I don't know. What about it? Maybe you got tricked into believing that heaven doesn't exist, so you take the deal, and you're supposed to wait 3 days before you get transported to heaven when you die. I don't know. But my wife said, if there was like some kind of absolute, like a God would just email you and let you know that, and show you like Bowie is fine and he's up there petting him, that would eliminate all the suffering, the sorrow that you had to go through, because you would know that you are going to absolutely see the person or the animal or whoever it is that died in heaven. Well, is that true? When Stephen James says no way in hell that's true, well then it makes me feel like it is. Anything he says that isn't, it is. When it's pertaining to me, or isn't, it is. It is or it isn't. It's just opposite day. SpongeBob, opposite day. So it's a thought that came out of nowhere, or whatever my wife said, and she said it, and I'd said it a couple weeks ago, which confirms that, yes, if we were taught the truth from the beginning about death, and everybody knows that hell is a figment of your imagination. It's what you put yourself, it's the torment that Satan puts you through living on earth. He threatens you. He tells you don't to do this, don't do that, don't touch that, thou shalt not touch lest you die. And then when you die, you're going to go to hell. But yet we're already here. So living on earth, not knowing the truth, is torment. Once you know the truth shall set you free. You can't get yourself saved. You can't go to heaven because you did some good works, which means you can't go to heaven. You can't go to hell for doing bad works. If you can't go to heaven for doing good works, well then you can't go to hell for doing bad works either. Because God is the one that has mercy on you, knowing that you live in the flesh, and every man is appointed to die once in the flesh. And that's your suffering, that's your torment, and that is hell, in my opinion. Now, is there a physical place of hell and people live there? Yeah, it may be, and that's what they agreed. They wanted to go there, because isn't there physical beings in heaven right now watching my video? So if there's people up there, there's people down here, but what kind of bodies do you have when you're in heaven? And is it male or female? Or is it neither? If you're ripped and in shape and you're perfect, well, but what kind of body do you look like? Do you have long hair? Do you have short hair? Do you have muscles like a chest, or do you have breasts? Is there no tree of life, or is it inside? And is that why Lucifer came down here and got people to leave their first estate, do the transformation? They went from male to female because he says you're neither male or female in heaven, so do it down here. But then you pay him while you're still alive here, because he needs to fill my bank account because of the work that I did. Because he's setting the stage, the music to worship God, and that's what the art museum footage was about. Setting the stage to worship God through music. You've seen what happened through music. That's right, Kim Jean, through the drums, the guitar, the rock music, the evil rock bands. I can convert people to God through rock music and Scorpion song and Here I Am. And by going to Beersheba and breaking things down and having a beer and drinking alcohol, am I not going to go to heaven because I drink alcohol? I smoke pot? I watch porn? I eat like a glutton? Is that all going to prevent me from going to heaven? Or when my body finally dies, the sin is gone and God gets my soul back? But while we're living on earth, we're being lied to about everything. So everything that we're being told not to do, the ones telling us not to do it are doing it. And they have these astronomical YouTube channels too. Preachers having their own studios and movie making, like even Greg Laurie, movie maker. Kind of reminds me of Christophilus. Maybe you may be Christophilus, the God of the earth, the God of this world here. And you may be telling us not, like, because you're saying, like, don't go to the bar and it's a bad. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're, just fine line between what you do and what you shouldn't do. But who are you hurting if you're doing whatever it is that you're doing? If you're drinking and enjoying a drink, is that not enjoyable? Are we not supposed to do that? Smoking pot. Well, it's something that enhanced my thoughts and had me figure things out more in spirit than ever before. I never even used to be a pot smoker. Even a couple years into YouTube, I was too busy drowning myself in Xanax, two blue footballs a day, eating, just not having control of what I'm eating. And then I finally started to wake up, and then my brain was more enhanced when I smoked. But I don't smoke as a chimney. It's like I'm a one hit wonder. I don't know why you even need more than one hit unless you didn't get a good hit the first time. So she nailed it. If you would all just stop lying about what heaven is and show us video footage from heaven right now. Because if I go to heaven and I have any say right now, I'm gonna still have my channel up there, and I'm gonna show you what it's like. And then I'm gonna show you the people that died, and there they are. And I'm gonna show you Bowie, and there he is. So that'd be great if I can go up to heaven like Elijah and not even die and suffer that. But how would I transform into living forever after that? Because at some point I'll just get unplugged and plug me into a new body. Or just take the flesh and blood off. Because when people die and you don't know where they're at, or you're never going to see them again, wouldn't it be nice if you can at least FaceTime them and see them in heaven? Like, isn't that what I did anyway, Steve? Aren't you not even here on earth? I don't even really think you are. I just think that every time I try to go to see at your house, something will happen. Because you're not even there. You're really above us, up there in the heavens. So, if we were told the truth, people would suffer less. But I have a feeling that Satan, the one in charge, just doesn't want people to live in comfort. And that's the whole purpose of him tormenting us on this earth, in this hellhole pit. Tell us the truth, and then we suffer less.